In the big picture for the radio business, local communities are mainly a broad stroke target for marketing. But for people inside those communities, radio has the potential of providing a niche for public conversation and local talent, not to mention opportunities for economic development. One attempt to move in that direction is Spark FM, a locally focused all digital radio station, and the first in Boston to be owned by a Black woman. To tell us about challenges in the venture's first year and some recent help from Comcast is the station's owner and founder, Danielle Johnson. Thank you very much for being with us again, Danielle.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
I'm going to start off by congratulating you on meeting your goal and exceeding it last year with your Kickstarter funding. Pick up the story from there. What happened next?
So after the Kickstarter campaign, we were set out to raise 19,000. We ended up raising over 22,000. Since then, we're approaching the 80,000 mile mark for being able to raise funding in order to get the station up and running. We are now 24/7 with 25 live shows and really putting out the content and resources that we intended to do from the beginning. So we're seeing it all come together now.
Now, I know you had all of these technical and logistical adjustments because of the pandemic, but as far as, I guess, meeting your goal of serving the community, helping the community get through this, what can you tell us about that?
Really kind of keeping them informed, feeding them information, educating them on what is going on in and around the world, especially as it pertains to the Black and Brown community in Boston, and just content. There's been so much to discuss over the past year. So it's been really kind of easy to kind of filter it out into what needs to be said within our community and really pushing the envelope to get it out there.
You know, you grew up, you're really almost like a second generation local radio person because you had an uncle who was on WILD. And, you know, I remember from those days in WILD was certainly one of those stations where people on the air, they were household names. You could walk up to anybody you knew in your neighborhood and start talking about what was on that station. Do you see yourself recapturing that with what you're doing right now?
Absolutely. You know, now that I go down the street and they're hey, Spark FM. And a lot of the broadcasters are getting that same thing, that recognition. They are now local celebrities, and it's been a fun ride. We haven't been outside, clearly. But you know, when the world does open up, I'm expecting that to expand. And I do want us to position ourselves as the tastemakers, and as the content curators, the resources for the community. So I'm hoping that we do get into that legacy type of situation.
Well, the goal here was, you know, local performers, local DJs, and you've got some hosts. It's probably hard to meet all of that given all the pivoting that's needed. But so far, what can you tell us?
So pivoting has been really interesting too. So right when we finally, today is actually the day that we locked in on our brick and mortar space where the station is actually being held. 3 days later, the whole world went down. What we did, and because we couldn't use that space because it wasn't built out, what happened was a lot of our broadcasters built in-home studios in order to be able to broadcast live from there. So it was really kind of great seeing them getting their equipment, getting their just regular DJ situation set up, and now being able to expand to be able to broadcast to a wide amount of people all at the same time. So it was interesting to watch. And as soon as we actually was able to get into the station, people started coming in there, social distancing, staggered staffing to get the message out and really kind of just perform and entertain and do what they do. So it's been really interesting to see the pivot and how far the people have grown in their own respects for their own broadcasts.
Well, for people who aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about some of your lineup, especially Java with Jimmy.
Java with Jimmy, one of my favorites. Java with Jimmy is all about politics and community work, community resources. We also have Wake Up with Taylor Andre, who does our midday show. She just spoke to Ayanna Presley yesterday about the stimulus checks. We also have ex-city Yeah, Carlos Henriquez, who has a show called PSA, Public Service Announcements, where we get into a lot of community work. We also have broadcasters from abroad. So we have someone in Atlanta, we have someone in Philadelphia that focuses more on, you know, down south entertainment, and one that does, you know, specialty shows around reggae, and soca music and island music. So there's so much going on, and so many really, really great broadcasts. We have a really great late night show. It's almost like Midnight Magic, with Chanel Remy, who does a lot of R&B and soul and really great music. So we are really out there giving diverse amounts of entertainment and resources.
As you say diverse, because when I was growing up, you know, black music, it was R&B and soul and funk. Yep. You've got quite a range. You got music, you know, from Afrobeat, you got Caribbean music. This is quite a range, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is quite a range, and we wanted to give. We want it within the black community, black and brown community. There are so many cultures that engulf it. So we wanted to touch on a little bit of everything. We even have a show on Sundays called Sundays Are for Soul, where they give us educational content about sampling music from all of these different genres, from all the way back in the day until what they are now, represented in the music that we see here. So it's a comprehensive, very, very holistic radio station that caters to every part of the culture of the Black and brown community.
Well, of course, what you also have to do is get your audience where it happens to be. And you have to do that in a different way. It's not like 1970 all over again. And I guess you need some technological help. And I guess Comcast is going to give you some assistance with that.
Comcast came through. They have a really great grant called the Comcast Rise Grant, and that is for bio. I never know how to say it. Biopic, biop, those things.
BIPOC.
Exactly. And they really cater to them. I applied on a whim, like, hey, this came across my desk. Let me apply for it. And I got an email probably like a month later telling me that I want a technology package. So what they did was upgrade a lot of pieces of our equipment, some computers, some tablets, and then they paid our bill for a year, or paying our bill for a year, upgraded our phone lines, our internet. So we have as a digital radio station, that's something that we really needed. And startup costs are a lot, especially when you start throwing in utilities. So having to take one of those off of us was a absolute blessing, and we are so grateful for it, because it really has helped. Our audio is clear, our internet never goes down, and we never have issues anymore with getting up and running.
I want to ask you possibilities in the future, because of the pandemic, I imagine you can't get as much advertising now, let's say, from restaurants. And, you know, and I see things like the Black Restaurant Challenge. You know, that's a great thing to promote on radio. So what about the future? Can you really look to get more of that?
We're working with a lot of organizations in Boston and also with the city of Boston to expand the information of the resources that are available. So what we have done is kind of put together a plan to grassrootedly, I don't know if that's a word, but
I know what it means.
Exactly. To actually go into the neighborhoods that we are and speak to the local business owners that are in the community, and really kind of present them with different packages. And we haven't really seen that in mainstream media or anything like that, where people are actually going into these restaurants, speaking to the restaurant owners, figuring out what exactly they need in order to get back to a place where they are making money, and really kind of giving them a good affordable packages to promote and to market their business. So where restaurants are really they're not doing the best that they can, but as the world starts to open up, we're more confident that we'll be able to secure more advertisements, and corporate sponsorships are really a really good place too, that we are focused on, and getting those messages into the community, which typically have a little bit higher of a dollar spend. So it keeps us afloat, and able to help us to keep our pricing for our small businesses a little lower.
Well, congratulations on this year of pivoting and fundraising. And if there's anyone out there who hasn't discovered Spark FM yet, what do they need to do?
go right onto our website, sparkfmonline.com, or you can download our apps on both the Android and Apple markets.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Danielle Johnson from Spark FM.